Okay guys, so this video I'm actually starting with a smile, and I'll tell you the reason why. So I have my team, over here. They're currently recording this, and they did the clap, and I was not listening. I was not paying attention to that. The clap, which gives me the clue that I have to start speaking, and I got scared. So I'm still in that zone. So please bear me, but I'll make sure that this video is pretty awesome, and you guys like it. So this one is about your Agile quality and matrix. We are still in our monitoring in Agile. There are a couple of videos in that. Another very important topic, and I'm pretty sure you will learn some cool stuff over here. We will talk about your value stream mapping. Lots and lots of questions on this. I'll clearly show you how we calculate, the value stream. What are the stuff which is waste and stuff. So it's very important. Then I'll give you the Agile Matrix introduction. We'll start with quality, and then I'll move to Agile Matrix. I'll show you the the productivity matrix, your velocity, throughput, and work in progress. All three very important numerical questions on these. Make sure that you're trying my numerical questions as well. So I'll give you show you how I'm calculating it. Let's see. Let's move on. First of all, what is quality? For me, the definition of quality could vary as compared to the definition of quality for you, right? For you, quality could mean that something like, for instance, let's say quality for me means iPhone. I really love, I'm an iPhone user. So for me, iPhone is a quality. For someone, it's not iPhone. They are more of Android users. So for them, quality means Android, right? So quality means meeting requirements. Our ultimate goal is to make sure that the stakeholder needs are met and we are delivering value to the customer. Of course, it should meet time, cost, and other important factors, but making sure quality means that the customer needs requirements are met. Okay, let's see. So in Agile, it's first of all, we don't have a separate section of quality in Agile. Like in your predictive model, you do manage quality and control quality, you do testing, inspection, audits, and all those things. In Agile, quality is something which is inbuilt, just like your risk also. Risk is also something which is inbuilt. And the best thing is that you are making high quality products, and that too so quickly, within 2-week sprints. Okay, it is simple, it is maintainable. You write quality code, you make sure that you are meeting all the specifications and stuff. And since you are getting constant quick feedback from the customer in every sprint review, basically the end user is satisfied about it, right? So this is something which is inbuilt into the system. Now, in quality, the first important topic which we will discuss is your value stream mapping. Very important, I would say. A lot of good questions may come from value stream mapping, but what is this? A pictorial method to analyze the current state of the process and identify value added time and waste time in the process from conception to the delivery. So basically, value stream mapping is from the time you start till the time you complete, what was the actual work you did, plus what are the time you actually wasted in that. So this helps you to show that what are the things which you can remove, what are the things, how you can save more time. Okay, so using this, a future state can be devised, minimizing the waste time and maximizing the value added time. So let me show you this value stream mapping example. I'll give you a good example so that you can relate it even better. But before I do that, first of all, what is your first thing you have to do? You have to make sure you identify the current state of process. What do I mean by current state? What is the step-by-step process of how it is working? Then from there, you will identify the waste and your potential roadblocks. From there, once you have that, you will streamline the process. Okay. Once you streamline, you know that you have optimized the workflow from where it was initially to where it is now. Okay. So let's see, this is an example. You want to visit a doctor. Okay. What is the first thing you do when you visit a doctor? First of all, you go to the reception and you do the reception formalities, which is, let's say, checking your insurance card and stuff like that. So it is 10 minutes. Now then, the receptionist tells you that, hey, you know what, you can have a seat at the reception desk and somebody would be there with you shortly. Now let's say there is a wait for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, you are actually shifted to the examination room, which is like, from the reception desk till the examination room, let's say it is a 1 minute walk for you. Then in the examination room, you again waited for 10 minutes and you were examined by the junior doctor. So junior doctor came in, or the nurse came in, and they took some test and everything for 15 minutes. Now, once you were examined by the junior doctor, what they will do? They will again shift you to the waiting area to hold on to that. So 10 minutes you will still wait there in the waiting area, when finally you would be called by the doctor, who will just see you for 5 minutes. And after that, you will have to wait for 5 minutes. After you wait for 5 minutes, they will discharge you, which the discharge procedure may take 10 minutes. So this is your step-by-step process from the reception formalities to your discharge. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys would have started to think about it also, that, hey, this happens a lot. But if you see, there are a lot of waste times over here. There's a 15-minute wait, 10-minute wait, 10-minute wait again, and 5-minute wait. How can we reduce that? So this is what we do. So first, let's calculate the work time. If you see, the work time is 10 plus 1, 11. 11 plus 15 is your 26. Then you will have 127, 32, and then 42. So basically, your actual work time was 42 minutes. Now let's check our wait time. So wait time was 15 plus 10, 25, then plus 10 is your 35, and finally 5 is your 40. So 40 is your wait time. So if you see, the total time you were there is 82 minutes. 82 minutes. Now, if we have to calculate the throughput, the formula for throughput is your work time divided by your total time. So this means that, which is only 51%. So your throughput came out to be only 51%. Now this will tell you that you have to reduce your wait time somehow. For instance, what you can do is, your reception formalities and your history data is something which you can collect online. Why do you have to do all that procedure when the patient is there? So that is one way of back. So now we will talk about. Okay guys, so this video I'm actually starting with a smile, and I'll tell you the reason why. So I have my team, over here. They're currently recording this, and they did the clap, and I was not listening. I was not paying attention to that. The clap, which gives me the clue that I have to start speaking, and I got scared. So this one is about your Agile quality and matrix. The value stream, what are the stuff which is waste and stuff. So it's very important. Then I'll give you the Agile Matrix introduction. We'll start with quality, and then I'll move to Agile Matrix. I'll show you the the productivity matrix, your velocity, throughput, and work in progress. All three very important numerical questions on these. Make sure that you're trying my numerical questions as well. So I'll give you show you how I'm calculating it. Let's see. Let's move on. First of all, what is quality? For me, the definition of quality could vary as compared to the definition of quality for you, right? For you, quality could mean that something like, for instance, let's say quality for me means iPhone. I'm an iPhone user. So for me, iPhone is a quality. For someone, it's not iPhone. They are more of Android users. So for them, quality means Android, right? So quality means meeting requirements. our ultimate goal is to make sure that the stakeholder needs are met and we are delivering value to the customer. Of course, it should meet time, cost and other important factors, but making sure quality means that the customer needs, requirements are met. Okay, let's see. So in Agile, it's first of all, we don't have a separate section of quality in Agile. Like in your predictive model, you do manage quality and control quality, you do testing, inspection, audits and all those things. In Agile, quality is something which is inbuilt, just like your risk also. Risk is also something which is inbuilt. And the best thing is that you are making high quality products, and that too so quickly, within 2 week sprints. Okay, it is simple, it is maintainable. You write quality code, you make sure that you are meeting all the specifications and stuff. And since you are getting constant quick feedback from the customer in every sprint review, basically the end user is satisfied about it, right? So this is something which is inbuilt into the system. Now, in quality, the first important topic which we will discuss is your value stream mapping. Very important, I would say. A lot of good questions may come from value stream mapping, but what is this? A pictorial method to analyze the current state of the process and identify value added time and waste time in the process from conception to the delivery. So basically, value stream mapping is from the time you start till the time you complete, what was the actual work you did, plus what are the time you actually wasted in that. So this helps you to show that what are the things which you can remove, what are the things, how you can save more time. Okay, so using this, a future state can be devised, minimizing the waste time and maximizing the value added time. So let me show you this value stream mapping example. I'll give you a good example so that you can relate it even better. But before I do that, first of all, what is your first thing you have to do? You have to make sure you identify the current state of process. What do I mean by current state? What is the step-by-step process of how it is working? Then from there, you will identify the waste and your potential roadblocks. From there, once you have that, you will streamline the process. Okay. Once you streamline, you know that you have optimized the workflow from where it was initially to where it is now. Okay. So let's see, this is an example. You want to visit a doctor. Okay. What is the first thing you do when you visit a doctor? First of all, you go to the reception and you do the reception formalities, which is, let's say, checking your insurance card and stuff like that. So it is 10 minutes. Now then, the receptionist tells you that, hey, you know what, you can have a seat at the reception desk and somebody would be there with you shortly. Now let's say there is a wait for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, you are actually shifted to the examination room, which is like, from the reception desk till the examination room, let's say it is a 1 minute walk for you. Then in the examination room, you again waited for 10 minutes and you were examined by the junior doctor. So junior doctor came in, or the nurse came in and, they took some test and everything for 15 minutes. Now, once you were examined by the junior doctor, what they will do? They will again shift you to the waiting area to hold on to that. So 10 minutes, you will, still wait there in the waiting area, when finally you would be called by the doctor who will just see you for 5 minutes. And after that, you will have to wait for 5 minutes. After you wait for 5 minutes, they will discharge you, which the discharge procedure may take 10 minutes. So this is your step-by-step process from the reception formalities to your discharge. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys would have started to think about it also, that, hey, this happens a lot. But if you see, there are a lot of waste times over here. There's a 15-minute wait, 10-minute wait, 10-minute wait again, and 5-minute wait. How can we reduce that? So this is what we do. So first, let's calculate the work time. If you see, the work time is 10 plus 1, 11. 11 plus 15 is your 26. Then you will have 127, 32 and then 42. So basically your actual work time was 42 minutes. Now let's check our wait time. So wait time was 15 plus 10, 25, then plus 10 is your 35, and finally 5 is your 40. So 40 is your wait time. So if you see, the total time you were there is 82 minutes. 82 minutes. Now if we have to calculate the throughput, the formula for throughput is your work time divided by your total time. So this means that, which is only 51%. So your throughput came out to be only 51%. Now this will tell you that you have to reduce your wait time somehow. For instance, what you can do is, your reception formalities and your history data is something which you can collect online. Why do you have to do all that procedure when the patient is there? So that is one way of doing it. So just by looking at this example, it clearly showed me what are the problem areas, how I can remove these wait time. Okay, let's see a quick summary of value stream mapping. First of all, it is based on the idea that every business represents a value stream. So if you see, it's a value stream, step-by-step process. Our goal is to make sure that we deliver as much value as to the customer. In this example, if I have to give value to my customer, what will I do? I will make sure I reduce the wait time, I take things online, their insurance information and stuff like that. Now, and once I start removing that wait time, ultimately my I would be able to optimize my value streams. Okay, so first I would have to understand how the value flows, identify the problem areas. Once the the wait time and all those problem areas I identified, I will work towards it to make sure that I get the work done. I will identify the waste, the sources of waste, and then I would make sure that, I do things to eliminate those waste or reduce those waste. Okay. This activity should be performed iteratively for the process in the delivery, and a lean organization optimizes the whole value stream. So as I told you, this is a lean concept where our basic purpose is to make sure that at an overall level, you optimize the whole value stream. So this marks the completion of your Agile quality. Now next section in Agile quality is your Agile Matrix. So first of all, what is a matrix? A matrix, it's a system of measurement that reflects the efficiency, performance, progress or quality of something. So that's your matrix, right? For me, my matrix is that my students should score around 70% in my mock test. So that's a metric for me. Similarly, your metric would be 80%, 90%, right? So it's basically, that's your metric for yourself, and you can set up based upon your project. Now, what are the examples of bad metric? First of all, something which does not tell you, does not give you anything relevant. Like for instance, you can say that these are the number of story points which are covered per developer. So you are doing it at a developer level. Remember, Agile is a team thing, not about individual people. A bad metric could be something like, something which can be easily misused. And I'll show you how something like this could be easily misused. Not so accurate, easy to manipulate. The effort to collect them is more than the value they provide. Sometimes, you create so big documentation that nobody takes time to read it. So what is the value of that, right? And something which is actually reduces team's passion and morale. So all those are examples of bad metric. Okay. Now, on the other end, what is a good metric? Good metric is something which provides relevant info in less than 2 minutes, like your information radiators, your Kanban board. You see it and you say that, oh wow, team is doing good. Right? So your cycle time, your lead time, and this is something which I'll explain to you, because this is more at a team level. So good metric is at a team level and not at an individual level. It will not cause you any harm. Clearly you can see the progress, how it is going on, and more importantly, it is very simple and easy to interpret. lightweight. You don't need fancy tools and all those things. Something which could easily give you the information you are looking for. That's your good metric. Now, always remember, word of caution over here, don't use the metric as a weapon against team or to put unnecessary pressure on team. Like for instance, you can say that, hey, you know what? A team A is doing 20 story points per iteration. Why are you guys still doing 5 story points? Always remember that for every team, the velocity could be different. Velocity is the number of story points you completed in per iteration. So make sure you understand that. So remember, you should not use this metric to put a pressure on the team. That is not the good sign. Okay. Then we have your productivity. What is productivity? Measure of efficiency of delivery. How efficient was the delivery? Another important concept. Let's see. Now for productivity, we have two aspects. We have the team velocity and the throughput. I showed you through value stream mapping how I calculated the throughput, right? The number of story completed in a particular time period. Similarly, in team velocity, which is actually used as a scrum, is the same thing, number of story. It's just two same things done in in different agile methodologies. So velocity is a scrum, throughput is a Kanban technique. Let's see, velocity, number of story points completed by team in one iteration. So if I completed 20 story points, my velocity is 20. And iteration 2, if I completed 25 story points, my velocity is 25. So that's your velocity. Now, how do you calculate this velocity? An important question. They'll give you a numerical and they may ask you that what are the list, what all user stories team should pick based upon the current velocity. So you will have to understand that. Now first of all, you always guess the first iteration velocity based on historical data. Then after several iterations, it will start increasing. You will see that, right? Like for instance, when I was recording these videos, initially I only recorded, let's say, one video. Then slowly and gradually, I started to pick the momentum and I was recording more videos in a day. Okay. So after 3 to 6 iteration, it will reach at a particular plateau and then from there it may remain constant. Again, it's not a hard and fast rule that this is how it will be, but it takes at least 3 to 6 iteration to reach at a plateau stage. Then it will become, as I told you, after that it is more accurate because more and more information come into play, and it's a slope of a burn down graph. So if you see a burn down graph, the slope will show you, the velocity. Okay, what are the different factors which impact velocity? It's your team morale, interruptions, multitasking, skill sets and stuff. All those actually contribute towards velocity. So if let's say your team morale is low, your velocity would decrease. If you have frequent interruptions, if the scrum master is not doing his or her job, frequent interruptions from the customer, then the velocity will go down. Multitasking, that's another reason for that. Now let's see. This is an example, and they'll give you a table like this and they'll say A is this, B is this point, C is this point, and they will say that okay, you can only complete 20 story points or 30, which all stories you would take, things like that, and make sure that only points which meet the definition of done would be calculated in that. Okay, if it is not definition of done, then you cannot do that. So first of all, let's assume that velocity for this particular project is for particular sprint is 11. Okay. Now they are asking you which stories they should plan for next sprint. So first of all, if velocity is 11, you have to make sure you pick stories which have velocity of 10, not more than that. So first of all, we say, and this is in priority order. So first you will pick 2, which is okay. 6, 2 plus 6, 8 story points. So still your average velocity is 11. So you're good. So you selected A, you selected B. Then if you select C, so it is 2 plus 6, 8 plus 4 is 12, which goes above 11. So you can't do that. So you will drop C. Then you will come to D. You see D is 2. So it is 2 plus 6, 8 plus 2, 10. So till here it is 10 and it is okay. So you will do 10. Then you do E, and you see that 10 plus 2 is 12, which means it surpasses your average velocity. So you will ignore E also. Then you will talk about F, which is 1. So 10 plus 1 is 11. So basically you will do A, B, D, F. So these are the type of questions you will get in your examination, where they will ask you to, sometimes you will have to calculate the velocity in the beginning, like you will calculate the average velocity and from there you will see. So this is just one type of example for velocity. Okay, next you have is the agile team throughput. Okay, so as I told you, velocity was something which was part of your Scrum. Throughput, on the other hand, is about Kanban, which is number of things that can be completed in a time period. Same thing, same concept, nothing different, it's just two different names, I would say. Number of story points in a month. Velocity was number of story points in a one particular iteration. Throughput is number of stories delivered in a month. So this is something which we have to calculate in the month time frame. So let's say if you have a project and they want to calculate the throughput in the month of March, what you will do? So you can see that you start on March 1 and you finish on April 3, and they want, and it's on month, right? So basically they want to calculate the throughput for the month of March. So you can see that it is 4, 7, 11 plus 1, 12, 12 plus 11 is your 33. So basically this one which is going outside your month, you will not take that into consideration. So it should be, the throughput should be 33 in this case. Okay, now always remember one thing, that to increase the velocity, teams sometimes skip the items and not meet the definition of done. They change the size of the story. So let's say it is, 2 story points. What they will do is they will increase all the story points and double it. So if they increase the story points and they double it, this means that the velocity has increased. And how you can skip items and increase the velocity. So let's say in a particular iteration you skipped 3-4 items and your velocity came out to be 10. In the next one you did it more of them and your velocity has increased, right? So that's one way of doing it. Also remember, different teams must not compare their velocity, because it just depends from project to project, it depends from team to team and all those things. Okay. Also same thing, to increase the throughput, team might divide the stories into 2 halves. Like for instance, so you know that from March 24 to April 3, you had 10 story points, right? So what you will do, you will divide it into half, and you will do one from March 24 to March 30th, 31, and the other you will do it in the month of April. So in this way, your throughput has increased. So that's one way of doing it. Okay, next we have is your cycle time. Another important concept. What is a cycle time? Cycle time is time taken to get any item from start to finish. Let me give you an example. So this is an example of your cycle time. So, and what is lead time? Lead time is from the task, from the date you started that task till the time you completed it. So basically, a lot of people come to me and say that, hey Varun, I want to start the PMP preparation. They start it, but they, for first few days they don't even reply. Then after a while they say that, oh, you know what, I only have 1 month to clear it. Then they start picking it up. So what happens in that particular case is that the cycle time is when they started the work and they completed the work. In other way around, lead time is when the task was created and the work got completed. So lead time is always higher than your higher than your cycle time. Okay. So as I told you, lead time, time taken from the conception of an idea to its delivery, time a customer is waiting for an item to be delivered to be considered. So basically, if you are working with me and it's a 3-month lead time to pass the PMP exam, that's a lead time. But if you actually started in the 2nd month and completed in that 1 month duration, that is your cycle time. Okay, now what is Little's law? So first of all, I want you all to memorize this formula. Cycle time is equal to work in progress divided by throughput. So now, if you reduce the work in progress, your cycle time would be reduced. If you increase the work in progress, your cycle time would be increased. So basically, it's directly proportional. Okay, and indirectly proportional to the throughput. Again, remember, cycle time is equal to work in progress divided by throughput. Okay, and what was cycle time? Cycle time was the work started and completed. The work when you started, not your lead time. Lead time is a bigger number. Keep that in mind. Okay, so what is I expect you in Agile world to limit the work in progress. Like work items should be picked from the backlog, but if they don't reach the done state, it's not a good state, right? So you should limit that. Your team member should not take more than, let's say, 5 sticky notes or 4 user stories. Okay, so number of tasks that the team is currently working on, and you have to make sure that you put a limit on that. Okay, it will show you the team's capacity to deliver, and by limiting this, you can actually achieve a smooth workflow and prevent overload. Yes, you can prevent overload. If the team is picking too many items, then this is a problem, right? So it can be set for the complete workflow, or it can be actually for each column also. So it's totally optional. It's up to you how you want to do that. Okay, first of all, if you have to set the limit for work in progress, you can say that, okay, you know what, we cannot have more than 4 people. That's the way of doing it. Secondly, are these people cross-functional? Can they pick different tasks? Can they multitask? Basically, how many things they can work on? And the third item, which is how many things they can work on at a time, is the most important. I would say that actually gives the real value to limit the work in progress. Now let's see. This is one of the example. You can see that work item 1, 2, 3, 4. Time needed for dev is 5. For testing 1.5, 3, 1, 2, 1. So basically they have given you a table. So this is how typically it is. Now, what are the advantages of limiting the work in progress? So it will help the team to maintain a steady pace. And so after 3 to 6 iteration, you will see that plateau, right? And this makes sure that the team is not overly occupied and things like that. Next, if no one is overwhelmed, you can start only that much work which you can finish. So it's not that you are picking too much work. You can only, whatever you have picked, you are completing it. Okay, if a lot of people actually get overwhelmed, when we start the preparation, they said, hey, you know what, I have too much to cover. That's a problem. So if I say, no, let's take baby steps at a time. It will enhance the productivity by reducing the number of open items. You cannot have more than X open items, so it will actually enhance your productivity. And basically, if you see, it will help you to achieve a smooth workflow and prevent any overload. Okay, so if just in case we are frequently reaching a stage where the team feels that work in progress limit is not appropriate, then it's time to review and adapt. Remember the 3 pillars of Scrum, which was the adaptation, inspection, right? Adaptation. So you adapt it, you make the change to that. Okay, so this marks the completion of your video on quality and matrix. Very important, I would say. Let's see what all things. Value stream mapping, very, very important. You should also know how to calculate the velocity and throughput, and of course you should know the advantages of work in progress. So that's another important one. Okay. After we complete this, we will move to the next video, which is on team development models. That's another important one, a short one, but I'm pretty sure you would love it. So thank you so much. Hey guys, so now we will talk about our team development models. Very small, quick video, but very important. A lot of good questions. one more good thing about this is that we will talk about two main models, which is the Suhari and the Dreyfus model. Now, the third one, which is your Tuckman ladder of team development, is something which we have already discussed in resource management. But yeah, I will talk about that too. So let's first start with Suhari and the Dreyfus model. And of course, Tuckman is actually your group development model. It's on the team things. Suhari is more on your skill acquisition, which is more at an individual level. So let's see. Suhari. What does that mean? Shu means follow the rules, Ha means break the rules, and Re means transcend. I know you may still be confused. What does this mean, following and breaking the rules? I'll show it to you. So Shu is actually a beginner level. What do I mean by beginner level? It means you have to follow the rules. You have to follow the explicit instructions. You have to have a good learning fundamentals. Like in this case, in this PNP preparation, you were initially at the beginner level, right? The Shu level was that I was telling you, do this homework, do that homework, do homework 1, do homework 2. So at that stage is known as your Shu, because you are constantly following, you are taking explicit instructions from me. Why? Because you are learning the fundamentals of this PNP course. Okay. After Shu, you went to Ha. What does Ha means? It means you understand the principles now. You are detaching from the rules. And finally, you explore and learn from other masters available. Okay, I'm not saying that you should do that, but what does Ha means is that many of you actually, go on Google and do their own research. They practice some own questions. They go on YouTube. They listen to other people's video. So that's their Ha stage, where they are breaking from the rule. And Re, the last one, which means transcend, natural moves, fluent, learn by the own practice, find your own way of doing things. So in Shu, I told you this is how you should do it. In Shu, so you did it the way I asked you. Ha, you made sure that you are looking at different masters and you are learning from it. And Re is your stage where you know exactly how it is done. Basically, you can actually start training also. That's your third, the most competent level, which is your Re stage. Okay, so if you see this Shu stage is, the dad has, the kid in, teaching. In Ha is basically you have become a kind of professional swimmers in the swimming pool you are, doing. But in Re stage, you are actually, swimming in river or cross country or sea or whatever, that's your Shu, Ha, Re stages. Now, next is your Dreyfus model. What is a Dreyfus model? So basically it tells you how the student actually acquired those skills. So progression from the instructions to the intuition. So initially you were taking the instructions, but when you actually sit for the exam, you go with your intuition. You say that, oh, you know what, I think A is correct. Or you know what, I think C is correct. So Dreyfus model. So what is Dreyfus model? So Dreyfus model divided this into 5 stages, which is stage 1, which is novice, stage 2, which is advanced beginner, stage 3, which is competent, stage 4, which is proficient, and finally you have stage 5, which is then expert level. So let's see, what is the novice stage? Beginner, monitoring needed, adherence to rules, basically no decisions. What does this mean? Novice stage for me means that you guys have just started this. This is your first homework. You are still beginner. This is your first attempt. You are just listening to me the way I am asking you to do. Your job is to adhere to the rules which I have set up for you, and I promise you will pass this exam. So that is your novice stage. Then from novice stage, you move to the advanced beginner stage. What does that mean? In advanced, so first of all, in the novice stage, you are not taking any decision. You are just constantly following the things I am asking you to do. In advanced beginner stage, I have given you little power to make some decisions. Okay, which means decisions like, if I expect that you study 4 hours, and initially you were studying 4 hours in the daytime. Now you think that, I don't want to study 4 hours in the daytime. I want to do 2 hours in the middle, 2 hours at the night, 2 hours somewhere XYZ. So that's your little decisions you take. Okay, that's your advanced beginner. From advanced beginner, you become the competent. What does competent stage means? That now you are handling multiple tasks. Like you are watching my videos, you're reading the book, and at the same time you're actually practicing questions also. You can troubleshoot the problem. Okay, so if you read a question, multiple choice question, and you see it, you say that, oh, you know what? I think this could be correct. So this will help you to gain that self-confidence. You need the real world exposure, basically practicing more and more questions. So that's your competent stage. From competent stage, you reach at the proficient stage, which is holistic view of the situation. You prioritize it, you plan, you teach, and basically the purpose is you identify mistakes and self-correct it. So proficient is more like, you basically you're teaching your friends, your colleagues to make sure they pass the PMP exam. That's your proficient stage. You know what you are talking about. Okay, then you become an expert, which is intuitive analysis of situation, which you have a vision of what is feasible. You can analyze new situation, and basically you need to expand knowledge and experience. So expert stage is where you actually start to make your own algorithm. Like for instance, I would say, first of all, please, ignore Albert Einstein picture over here. But what I'm trying to say is, expert stage is like, I will call myself as an expert in this. Why? Because I have given thousands of PMPs to this industry, but not because of that. I make my own rules. I make my own laws, tricks, like my elimination technique, like my keywords technique. All those tricks and techniques, I am the one who is making it. When can you do that? When you are at an expert stage. So I'm not at a proficient stage where I'm teaching. I'm actually at an expert stage where I'm making my own rules. I'm making my own easy ways, like the sushi example which I gave you. Why did I give you a sushi example? So that you can relate it to it. Right? So that's my own way of explaining it. So these were the Dreyfus model and the Suhari model were mainly on the individual level. Then we have the Tuckman ladder of team development. And as I told you, I've explained this in your resource management also, which is forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. So let's see. Forming stage. First, think of forming stage as the first time you're meeting your team members. Everyone is working independently. It's more of observation how other person works, and so it's more of coming together for the first time. That's your forming stage. Then we have the storming. Storm. What is a storm? You know what storm is, right? Storm is coming. So this means everyone is giving their opinions and they're challenging each other. This is the stage where maximum conflict happens. This is the stage where there is a loss of performance. You will see fear, you will see anxiety, suspicion, all those, the person is not doing the work. All those things are part of your storming stage. So after your storming stage, you will move to the norming stage, which means you have started to accept each other. You're still in the initial phases of accepting. You know how the other person, you probably establish a ground rule. You would have an agreement in place, a method for agreement. You will work together as a team. So norming is the stage where you begin to work together as a team. From norming, you will move to the performing, the best stage in your Tuckman's ladder of team development, which is all the team members are working together. There is synergy. Everyone is most efficient. Everybody knows how it is working. You trust each other. So this is where you perform the most, and that is why the stage name is performing. And finally, you have adjourning. This means work is done. You have completed the task and you are on your own. So that is your adjourning stage. So this marks the completion of your team development models. Very important, remember it is your Suhari, your Dreyfus and your Tuckman ladder of team development. You may get good number of questions on this topic also. Once we complete this, our next chapter is the last chapter in Agile monitoring, which is your Agile risk and communication. So we will talk about those. So thank you, and I look forward to talking to you. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back. So now we will talk about the last video of your Agile monitoring and more importantly, the last video of your overall course as well. Now in this, I would be talking about your Agile communication and risk, and this is an easy one. Why? Because risk and communication is something which we have already discussed in our first half also, but now we have to make sure we do that specifically in Agile as well, right? So what will we do in this? First, we will have a brief introduction about Agile communication. From there, I will talk about information radiators. I've used this term a lot, but I want to show you how an information radiator looks. Then we'll move to the risk management introduction. I'll classify the risk. I'll tell you what are the different types of risk and stuff and give you a brief idea about some of the tools and techniques in risk management. So let's see. First of all, what is communication? Process of sending or receiving information. Is this video considered to be communication? Think. The answer should be yes. This is a process. I'm sending this information to you. What is your job? Your job is to receive this information, understand this information, and if you have questions, reach out to me. That's back and forth of communication going on. So what is the best form of communication? We start with your face-to-face. I want to talk to you something. We'll have a face-to-face meeting. If you are in country X, I am in country Y, it's not feasible, then we will do video conferencing. If that's not possible, the third form of communication, the best is like the phone. I'll pick up the phone or you'll pick up the phone and we'll talk about it. Finally, after this, we have the audio or video recording, which is this. Audio and video recording, and this is where I'm showing you, I'm trying to teach you how Agile works, how PMP works and things like that. And last is your email and text communication, which we will constantly. So this is the reason if you have taken my boot camp, you have seen me, we have done video conferencing and stuff. We use a combination of all of these things together to make sure that, the communication is perfect. Simple as that. Okay. What are some of the things which are used for communication, like your daily stand-up? Daily stand-up, you use it for monitoring purpose, right? Exactly. You use it for communication purposes also. Same thing, pair programming, you do it in pairs. Not important, ignore. You do demos, reviews. That's also a form of communication. You do peer reviews. You do retrospective. And last but not the least, information radiator, the most important out of all of these. Of course, daily stand-up is, but all these are ways to communicate whatever the work is going on. So let's see. Now, Agile meetings play a very important role in communication. Let's see how. First is your planning meeting, right? Your sprint planning meeting or your release plan meeting and all those things. So basically over here, you communicate the list of user stories which will go in that particular sprint. You will have the release, you will have iterations, you will talk about with the stakeholders, all those are involved in this. So this is a form of communication where you say that these are the list of things which we'll be doing. Daily stand-up. Daily stand-up is talking about the current status, priorities, which happen on a daily basis. Peer review, both the peers are working together. One person is reviewing other person's work. So they are communicating and talking about the learning opportunity. They're trying to make sure, both the works are done. Everybody is doing good thing. Same thing, iteration review, the demo, which happens in the end of sprint. You're showing the working product, which is you're providing the demo to the customer. The team is communicating the progress. Okay, and in return, the team expects a feedback from the product owner or the customer. Same thing, retrospective. What do you do in retrospective? You do communication, you do honest communication. You talk about the things which went well. You talk about the things which did not went well. How can you improve it? So that's also a form of communication as well. Similarly, if you see from the artifact standpoint, there are different artifacts which helps you to do communication, like your product vision statement. Vision statement is actually communicating the end goal of your overall product vision, right? I want to see my PMP, my Edu HubSpot in hands of each and every person who wants to do professional certification. That's my vision, right? My end goal is what? World dominance. Next, product roadmap. Communicate the long-term view of the product feature. So now product roadmap is talking about the roadmap, product per se, which is saying that, okay, these are the features and this is when we will be releasing them from time to time. So that's your communicating, right? Similar. Everyone, welcome back to a brand new chapter in Agile, which is about Agile monitoring. So initially, I started with introduction to Agile. Gave you a little bit of introduction about how Agile and what the different types of life cycles are. From there, I moved towards plan and implement Agile. How we plan in Agile and how we implement in Agile. However, you have to keep one more thing in mind. Communication, like your product vision statement. Vision statement is actually same thing, information review, iteration review, the demo, which happens in the end of sprint. You're showing the working product, which is you're providing the demo to the customer. The team is communicating the progress. Okay, and in return, the team expects a feedback from the product owner or the customer. Same thing, retrospective. What do you do in retrospective? You do communication, you do honest communication. You talk about the things which went well. You talk about the things which did not went well. How can you improve it? So that's also a form of communication as well. Similarly, if you see from the artifact standpoint, there are different artifacts which helps you to do communication, like your product vision statement. Vision statement is actually communicating the end goal of your overall product vision, right? I want to see my PMP, my Edu HubSpot in hands of each and every person who wants to do professional certification. That's my vision, right? My end goal is what? World dominance. Next, product roadmap. Communicate the long-term view of the product feature. So now product roadmap is talking about the roadmap, product per se, which is saying that, okay, these are the features and this is when we will be releasing them from time to time. So that's your communicating, right? Similarly, product backlog, you are communicating the feature list. So backlog is, little more detailed level as compared to the roadmap. Of course, you will have the release plan also, which will tell you when you are releasing and what scope is getting released and what. So that is part of it. And at the most granular level, I would say is the iteration backlog, which will show the scope and the current status of that particular iteration. So you are communicating that as well. Same thing, if you see burn down chart shows it to you that how much work is left, basically, right? How much story points are still left to be completed. So it actually communicates the current status of your project. Your task board, we did the Kanban board and your Scrum task board. This will show you the status of each user story. Okay, of course, face-to-face conversation or whiteboard sticky notes, you use that, like, you have a sticky board, you will show it to the sticky board that all these things are happening and you can see what is the status of the project. Again, face-to-face, as I told you, is the best form of communication. It helps you to make relationship and understand. The last tool we had in communication is your information radiator. What is an information radiator? It's a display posted in a place where people can see it as they work or walk by. It shows readers information they care about without having to ask anyone a question. Basically, in the hallway you have kept it, or in the kitchen you have kept an information radiator, so that each and every person can look at the status of the project. That's your information radiator, something which is clearly visible. A perfect example, you go to an airport, you see the status of flights. That's large, that's easily visible. Nobody can miss it, the status. It's very simple. This flight traveling from here, departure, arrival, time, status, late, on schedule, early, whatever, right? So that's an information radiator, something which is clearly visible. So this marks the completion of your communication management. Now we will move towards the risk management. We all know what risk is, right? Something uncertain which may impact your project, either positively, opportunity, or negatively, which is your threat. So that's something uncertain which may or may not impact your project basically, but you try to be proactive in this. So let's see. As I told you, risk is of two types. First is your opportunity which you want to maximize. Then you have your threats which you want to minimize. And how risk management plays an important role in Agile. First of all, you try to do an early identification of risks and you add those user stories in the backlog along with your feature set and all those things. Risk user stories, for high and critical risk, you try to make sure you prioritize them early in the project life cycle. It's better, right? In Agile, they say fail early. It's better because in the end, it would be more disturbing. It would be more cost for you. So it's better you at the initial few iterations, you try to cover those risk items as possible. Okay, of course, risks are reviewed, validated, and in the retrospective, you keep on adding those, you do the risk identification, and constantly you update your product backlog with new amount of risk information which you are getting. Okay, remember in Agile projects, the highest value and the highest risk requirements are prioritized first and earliest. As I told you, if something is risky, something you see will impact your project, you will try to prioritize in the early few iterations. So same way we did our communication, right? Let's talk about the artifacts in risk management and the role of risk in that. Like your vision statement, your product vision statement. It helps to have a shared understanding of product goals, reducing the risk of misunderstanding. So my entire team knows Varun wants to do a world dominance. So that's my vision of Edu HubSpot. That's my vision, right? So everyone in the team have the same. And we are de-risking our project so that there is no misunderstanding over here. Everybody knows that our ultimate goal is to make sure that Edu HubSpot is their best provider for their any professional certification need. Now, how am I doing it? It's through my product roadmap. What does product roadmap means is Agile project roadmaps visualizes the requirements and prioritize, helping to reduce the risk of gap in requirement. So we have published the roadmap. Everybody sees the roadmap that these are the 10 top features which a team Edu HubSpot wants to achieve. So all the team members know, and of course this is reducing the risk in the gaps of requirements. Same is the case. The same reason we had product roadmap, we had product backlog also. The features which have the highest risk are first prioritized and delivered. Why? To make sure that we maximize the output while minimizing the risk. So we are maximizing the opportunities while we are minimizing the risk over each iteration. We want to de-risk the project. Okay, release planning, we will discuss about those risks at a high level because it's at a release level, and slowly and gradually when we are in the sprint planning, we will start to discuss those risks and issue at an iteration level so that the early we mitigate those risks, negative risks, the better it is. Okay. On the same lines, we have a burn down chart, some of the artifacts, burn down chart. Burn down chart shows you that, okay, if I compare the remaining plus the total given to us, and if I see that, oh, you know what, I still have 100 user stories to cover, 100 story points, I still have 90 story points to cover, there's a risk to a project. Something has to happen immediately, right? So your burn down chart, which is also an information radiator, can show you that your project is not working smoothly and you need to work on that. Okay, daily scrum, one of the key important factor in your daily scrum is, are there any risks? Are there any issues? Are there any impediments? That's you discuss daily risk on a daily basis. Same thing, task board. Current status of the project can be seen, helping the team to catch risk quickly and manage them. So basically, if you see a task board for a particular user story, it will show you exactly that, oh, you know what, here is the risk which may impact. So you can visualize it because it is at a per user story level. Then you have the iteration review. Iteration review, of course, you do it, let's say, a sprint review. Okay, over there, whatever the requirements which was asked, did you do that when you're giving the demo? You clearly, the product owner can say that, hey, you know what, this is not good, you didn't do the right thing. Or the product will say that, oh, you know what, I think we did a good job in making this prototype because our risk is very high if we would have done it in XYZ manner. Same thing, iteration retrospective, which is, specifically the team will try to de-risk the negative risk and see that, oh, you know what, if we from next sprint, if we start to do it in a particular manner, this will actually help us to reduce our risk. That's your iteration retrospective. Project pre-mortem. Okay, what is a pre-mortem? Pre means before. So it's a facilitated team activity. So what does that mean? You're imagining that the project has failed and identify the cause of failures. So basically, pre-mortem is a team activity. We're trying to identify that these are the 10 reasons because of which this project has failed. So your project has not failed yet, but you're imagining that your project has failed and you're trying to identify that what may be the causes which resulted in these failures. Okay, exercise will help to identify of course, this will help you to identify the risk, and based upon those 10 top reasons, I'm not saying 10 is just a number I gave you, but based upon those reasons, you will prepare a plan to mitigate and eliminate those causes. Okay, how would you classify the risk management? Basically, you will classify the risk management into two aspects. First is your organic versus overt, and second is your qualitative versus quantitative. So qualitative, quantitative, it's based on the mathematical calculation we have already covered in the risk management. But organic and overt is something, it's based on when and how these practices are implemented. And I'll show you an example for that. Organic. Organic is something that you're not doing something specifically for risk management. Organic, it's just inbuilt in the system. Like if you are following the best agile practices, then like daily stand-ups and review, you are actually taking care of risk. You are doing a proper risk management. Your co-location, your daily stand-up, your iteration delivery, all those are examples of organic risk management. On the other hand, what is overt? Overt is an explicit process where you are making sure that you identify the risk, you have a strategy in place, and you are applying it by implementing those risks when those risks happen. Okay, so specifically you are doing things like risk sensors or risk burn down graph, risk spike, risk backlog. All those things are examples of your overt because they are special things which you are doing in risk management. Let's see some of the examples, tools, some of the tools, as I told you, risk sensors, risk adjusted backlog, burn down graph, burn up graph, spike, audit, and risk board. Let's do it one by one. So first is your risk sensors. This is something which is used in your extreme programming. Not to worry about, but it's very simple. Probability times impact. Probability times impact. Whatever the, when you calculate probability times impact, that is your risk exposure. Simple as that. Probability, we discussed about this in our risk qualitative also, keep that in mind. That's your risk sensors. Now, next is your risk adjusted backlog. What is your risk adjusted backlog is? First of all, when you, let's take an instance that, you are at the beginning level, you are at the product backlog level, and over there you identified few risks. And you think that, oh, you know what, I think based upon this, I identified 2 risks. Let's take care of risk number 1, which is a very high priority in the first iteration. So you did that. So that's your risk adjusted backlog. So continuously you are updating your product backlog and iteration backlog if more and more risks are coming into picture, or fail early, that's better. So that's what you do. So if you see, so you have this risk adjusted backlog. There are few things. You have other user stories also. You have other tasks also. And one of the tasks is to make sure that, you're taking care of specifically about risk section. So you will incorporate that. You will prioritize those tasks among your other different user stories or tasks. Okay. Then we have your risk burn down chart. Just like your typical burn down chart. What was burn down chart showing you? Burn down chart was showing me the amount of work which is still left, right? Same thing is this. It is a cumulative risk exposure on the project over time and iteration. So first of all, it is cumulative. So when you were at iteration number 1, there were 90 story points worth. Then after that, you came down to 75. Then it again increased, and slowly and gradually, when you are iteration number 6, you have 40 story points still worth of risk left, right? This is your risk burn down chart. Just always remember, it's always better that there should be a linear drop over the course of the project. If it is not, then this means something is not right, and you have to do something specifically in the next iteration to make sure that you are mitigating those risks. Same thing, just like your burn up chart, we have a risk burnout chart also, which shows graphical display of the cumulative risk exposure addressed on the project over time. So this is something burn up chart. So basically it can show that, in the beginning we were at 40 story points, then we went to 65, 70, then we went to 80 story points. So that's your risk burn up chart. So you are burning, in the first iteration you burned 40 story points, in the second you burned 65 story points. So this is something, it should gradually increase in your risk burn up chart. Now, what is a spike? I've used this term spike a lot, but think of spike as a time box experiment or a short proof of concept to investigate an issue. Let's say your project is hit by some kind of issue and you're not able to figure out what is that issue. What you will do is you will conduct a spike. Spike is typically, it's a throwaway code. You make sure that you try to resolve that problem by discussing about that. So its purpose is to learn just enough about the unknown of a user story for estimation or as a proof of concept or for establishing realistic expectation. So technically, whatever the output is of that spike, you may not use it, but this is more for you to analyze it. Okay, and spike is, I think, of 3 types. We have the architectural, the technological, and the risk-based spike. Architectural spike is more on the overall design of the system architecture. So if you're not able to understand or you have issues or concerns, so you'll do an architectural spike and try to think, oh, you know what, this is what we should do. The chief architect and stuff would be part of that. Technological, which is if you are doing something with an unknown technology, you have never worked on this, like, which coding language should you use? So all that is a technological spike. You will have a specific meeting and you will discuss about those. Again, you are just deciding which programming language would I use. That's it. You are not, there is no output of that. Output is just to understand that what you should do. Similarly, we have the risk-based spike, which is, making sure that how you can minimize or eliminate the critical risks on the project. How? Keep that in mind. Okay. Similarly, we have a risk audit. As the word says, audit. What are you doing? So it's an examination of how well your risk management activities are going on. Okay. Basically, it shows that, if there is a risk, are you applying those risk responses or not? Or you are coming up with workaround. So basically, a risk audit happens in the retrospective, and since it's an audit, you try to do it someone external to the project. Okay, and this could be done at a iteration level, this could be done at a release level, but it just varies. There is no right or wrong in that. Okay, if you see, this is a risk board, just like your Kanban board or just like your Scrum task board, the same thing. You will see ready, which is to do kind of, which is these are the risks over there. From there you will say doing. So you start working on, you will pick those sticky notes, you will start working on those user stories, and you will be doing. Once you are doing, then you will put it at the done state. This means it has passed the definition of done and this risk has been fully mitigated. From there you can go ahead and retired also. You can say that, okay, this risk will no longer impact my project and I'm good with that. So that's your retired. So this marks the completion of your last video in Agile Monitoring, and basically this is the last video for the entire course also. So I hope you liked it and I hope you learned a lot. But let's quickly see what is important. First of all, focus on the information radiator, very important. Also focus on the risk burn down chart and burn up chart. The way I gave you in examples, the different types of spike, your architectural spike, the risk-based spike, all those are important as well. And finally, I discussed about the risk board. So, doing, to do, done, retired, keep that in mind. That's important as well. So let's see, what are the next steps? Now, I want you to go back, read the slides for Agile Monitoring. Once done, come back to the website, solve the test questions in Monitoring and Agile. It's 25 questions. Let's see how you do. And once you complete this, I want you to start the revision process and of the overall, and then we will start moving towards the mock test. Thank you so much, and I hope you loved it and you liked it. Thank you and good luck.